The winter air bites at your neck as you hurry through the dimly lit streets, your mind a chaotic storm of unpaid bills, missed chances, and the suffocating pressure of a life that has gone nowhere. You feel the crushing weight of mediocrity, a daily existence defined by the dwindling numbers in a bank account that never grows regardless of your sacrifice. Just as you reach a desolate corner, your hand brushes against something unfamiliar in your coat pocket. 5 minutes ago, that pocket was empty. You pull out a heavy, cream-colored envelope, sealed with a glob of crimson wax. Your heart hammers against your ribs as you break the seal. Inside, a single gold coin, heavy, ancient, and unnaturally warm, glints under a flickering streetlight. Resting atop a card embossed with a single name, the Obsidian Manor. There are coordinates and a promise of total liberation from the debts that haunt your sleep. You have nothing left to lose, so you follow the map, leaving the ghost of your failing life behind in the dark city shadows. The manor looms out of the darkness like a sleeping titan, its Gothic architecture cutting a sharp silhouette into the pale moonlight. It is situated far from the eyes of the public, hidden behind a perimeter of ancient trees that seem to lean in as you pass. As you approach the massive oak doors, they swing open without a sound. Standing in the grand foyer, which smells of old paper and cold stone, is a man whose presence seems to swallow the light. This is Elias, dressed in a suit so black it looks like a physical void. His eyes are sharp and unreadable obsidian. He tells you that the world you once inhabited is a puppet show, and the strings are pulled by the order of the unseen. They are the meticulously hidden architects of history, the shadow masters, and they have been watching your descent with interest. Elias speaks of power, and a true freedom that exists only for those willing to sever their ties to the common world, but his voice is as cold as the floor beneath your feet. He leads you deeper into the heart of the manor, past heavy velvet curtains that dampen every sound until the world feels muffled and surreal. The air is thick with the cloying scent of ancient incense and something metallic that makes your head swim. You are ushered into a soundproof chamber where the silence is absolute and unrelenting. In the center stands a stone pedestal holding a flickering flame. Elias hands you a stack of photographs, the only remnants of your previous existence. He demands that you burn them as your first test of detachment. One by one, you watch the faces of your family, your friends, and your former self curl into black ash. To join the order, you must first become a ghost. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. As the last photo of your home turns to smoke, you feel a strange, hollow lightness, a terrifying detachment that is as intoxicating as it is lonely. The ritual moves to a darker hall where masked figures stand like statues in the gloom, their faces hidden behind porcelain visors. Elias produces a silver blade, its edge catching the dim candlelight. He instructs you to hold out your hand over a silver bowl. The cut is sharp, a sting followed by the warmth of blood blooming across your palm. As the crimson droplets fall into the bowl with a hollow sound, a deafening thud echoes through the hall. The heavy iron doors have been locked from the outside by unseen hands. You are no longer a guest, you are a subject. Elias leans in, his breath cold against your ear, whispering that these doors only open again for a master or a corpse. He gestures toward a massive mural depicting the prices paid by those who failed the order. You see depictions of men without faces and bodies consumed by shadows, and you realize with a jolt of ice in your veins that the liberation you were promised comes with a price you never imagined. The transition from the cold, blood-stained ritual floor to a life of unimaginable luxury is so sudden it feels like a fever dream. You are escorted to a suite within the Obsidian Manor that defies every limit of your previous reality. There are closets filled with suits that fit your frame perfectly, and a digital terminal showing bank balances that make your previous debts look insignificant. You have power now, the kind that moves markets and silences critics instantly. But this influence is a gilded cage. Every time you turn a corner, you encounter a sentinel. These silent guardians, draped in heavy robes with their features hidden behind emotionless white porcelain, do not speak. They simply watch. Their presence is a constant, suffocating reminder that while you may now have the world at your fingertips, your own life is no longer your own. You are a valuable asset of the order, and assets are never left unattended. The true nature of your liberation reveals itself when Elias summons you to his private study, a room filled with the scent of old leather and expensive scotch. He slides a thin manila folder across the mahogany desk. Inside is the life of the person you once loved most. Your assignment is simple and devastating. You must use your new resources to orchestrate their professional and social ruin. It is a test of loyalty, a surgical removal of your empathy. Elias watches with a terrifying stillness. You realize the Order doesn't just want your service. They want to hollow you out into a vessel for their will. You see the pain you are about to cause, and the weight of the gold coin in your pocket suddenly feels like a leaden anchor pulling you into an abyss. Driven by a desperate need to find a way out of this moral vacuum, you wait for the deep hush of the manor's midnight hours. You manage to slip past a shifting sentinel patrol, finding a concealed staircase behind a heavy tapestry. It leads to a cold basement, known as the Archives of the Erased. Here the air is thick with the smell of mouldering paper. Row after row of cabinets contain histories of members who, like you, were promised total freedom. But as you flip through the pages, a horrific pattern emerges. Every member who attempted to dissent didn't just die. They were systematically wiped from reality. Their families forgot them, and their names were scrubbed from existence. You are looking at a graveyard of identities. Before we descend further into the secrets of the Obsidian Manor, make sure to subscribe to the channel and join our inner circle to see if the protagonist survives the impossible choice ahead. Standing among the ghosts, you understand that the Order's grip is final. You even find your own name already typed onto a folder, the end date left chillingly blank. Panic flares in your chest, and you rush back to the upper levels to confront Elias. You demand to know why the promise of liberation is built on a foundation of disappearances. Elias turns, and for the first time, his cold composure cracks. He rolls up his sleeve to reveal a scar identical to yours. He tells you that he was once a recruit exactly like you, driven by the same debts. He is merely a prisoner, a man whose identity was consumed decades ago to serve a cycle he can no longer stop. In the corner of his desk, you spot a hand-drawn map. It marks a path through the shifting labyrinth toward a secret exit. It is a flicker of hope. As Elias looks away, your fingers brush the edge of the parchment. You pull it toward you, your heart hammering a frantic rhythm. But the moment your skin touches the paper, the manor is plunged into absolute, suffocating darkness. The hum of the building dies. In the silence, a voice you recognize all too well, a sentinel, whispers directly into your ear from the blackness. "We knew you would try." The whisper in the dark still echoes in your ears as you bolt, your boots thudding against the cold stone floor. The map in your hand, once a beacon of hope, now feels like a useless scrap of paper clutched in a trembling fist. You plunge headlong into the labyrinthine corridors, but the Obsidian Manor has begun to breathe with a sinister, shifting life. The architecture itself seems to betray you. The grand hallway that should have led to the service entrance now curves into an infinite, nauseating spiral of marble and shadow. Doors that you passed only moments ago have vanished into seamless, solid stone, replaced by blank walls that offer no purchase and no escape. You are a rat caught in a shifting maze, and the sentinels are not even bothering to chase you anymore. They are simply waiting at every corner you think you have conquered, their porcelain masks glowing faintly in the gloom like predatory moons. Every turn leads you deeper into the bowels of the estate, the air growing colder and thinner with every frantic step you take. In the flickering light of a dying wall sconce, you spot a familiar face. Julian, the fellow initiate who had whispered promises of rebellion while you were both hidden in the archives. He beckons frantically toward a narrow, concealed servant's passage, his eyes wide with feigned urgency. Relief, sharp and intoxicating, floods your chest as you follow him into the cramped space, believing you have finally found a true ally in this house of mirrors. But the moment the heavy oak door clicks shut behind you, the air turns frigid. Julian stops, his back to you, and he does not turn around. Instead, he steps aside with a practiced, mechanical grace to reveal a line of sentinels standing in perfect, terrifying formation. He reaches into his pocket and hands your stolen map to the lead guard without a single word of apology or regret. You realize then that there was never a rebellion. and there was never a secret exit. Every whispered confidence was a test, and every crumb of hope was a lure designed by the High Council to measure the depth of your desperation. Julian was an informant all along, his loyalty bought with the very same false promises of liberation that led you into this trap. The sentinels drag you, your feet scraping uselessly against the cold floor, into the High Council chamber. The room is vast and oppressive, illuminated by a single massive chandelier that casts long, jagged shadows against the velvet-draped walls. At the far end, seated upon a throne of dark wood, sits the Grand Architect. The figure is draped in robes of the deepest midnight blue, but it is the face that stops your heart in your chest. There is no flesh, no bone, and no human expression, only a seamless, polished mirror mask that covers the entire head. As you are forced to your knees before the throne, you do not see a leader or a monster. You see yourself. Your own panicked eyes, your sweat-streaked face, and your trembling, blood-stained hands are all reflected back at you in terrifying clarity. The Grand Architect does not speak, yet the message is deafening in the silence. The Order of the Unseen is not an external force holding you captive. It is a reflection of your own hidden desires, your own ruthless ambition, and your own willingness to discard your humanity for the sake of power. You are the architect, and the architect is you. The psychological weight of this realization is heavier than any physical chain. You understand now that no way out was never about the iron doors or the shifting walls of the manor. The true trap was the slow, methodical erosion of your soul. You look at your hands and no longer recognize the person who entered this house to escape a life of debt and mediocrity. You are a phantom who has already sabotaged those you once loved, burned your memories to ash, and spilled blood for a seat at a table of ghosts. The transformation is complete. You have become the very thing you once feared, a shadow among shadows, an architect of your own imprisonment. Elias is brought forward by the guards, looking older and more hollow than you ever remembered. He looks down at you with a mixture of profound pity and bone-deep exhaustion. To survive, to keep the wealth and the influence that are now your only reasons for existing, you must perform the final ritual. You are handed the silver blade, its edge cold and familiar. Elias does not resist. He welcomes the end of his long, weary servitude with a final, rattling breath. As you take his place, you are effectively killing the last tether to your old identity. The version of you that existed before the gold coin is dead and buried. You are now the mentor, the keeper of the gate, the one who will manage the next generation of desperate souls seeking a freedom that does not exist. You sit in the high, velvet-backed chair, the weight of the mirror mask now pressing against your own brow. The coldness of the porcelain is oddly comforting, a shield against the world you left behind. You look down at the mahogany desk where Elias once sat. There, resting on the polished wood, is a fresh gold coin and a new wax-sealed envelope. The cycle is perfect and the cycle is eternal. You pick up the envelope, feeling the weight of the invitation that will ruin another life under the guise of saving it. You lean forward, the lens of the camera reflecting in your mask, and you drop the envelope toward the screen. The next recruit is already watching. The next recruit is you,